illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back to Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, on this edition of the show, we shall take a look at the performance for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, as well as they just concluded African competition, talking about the organization about the host country. UEFA Champions League, I told you earlier, of course, makes a return tonight to take a look at that as well. But joining me to do justice on the program this morning is Abaje Musafi. Good morning to you and welcome to Sports Talk this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kingsley. Pretty excited. The Super Eagles of Nigeria made it to the final of the 2023 edition of the AFCON. But unfortunately, we couldn't make it a number 4 title on the continent.
Of course, it was really an impressive outing for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, but just like Abaje mentioned, they couldn't get past the host country, Ivory Coast, in the finals to lay their hands on the 4th African Cup of Nations for Nigeria. But we keep our fingers crossed. Take a look at what has actually happened after that particular encounter. But before we do that, let's take a look at athletics this morning as Nigerian athletes Toby Amusan and Brume won the at various events in Leuven, France, and hosting the United States. Amusan clocked a time of 7.83 seconds to win the women's 60 meters hurdles at the meeting in Leuven, France. She defeated Laetitia Patti, who posted a season best of 7.9 seconds, and Sarah Lavin in 7.98 seconds. Also, Brume landed a season best of 6.84 meters to win the women's long jump at the Hallway Riyadh Invitational in Houston, going forth on the 2024 season top play. She completely took apart the field, beating them by almost a meter, with second place Genesis Curfew recording 5.91 meters in that particular one. And Nigeria now has 2 women leading the world in the women's long jump, occupying number 1 and 4th on the global list. It was really an impressive outing for the likes of Toby and Isi Brome in their various events down there in France and the United States of America. Abaji.
Yes, Toby has not. Toby has, proven that yes, she is the best in her trade. At the moment, we saw all that happened during the major event last year. Issues of not making herself available for the out of competition text, and all of that stuff went to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and she was found innocent. She came back She couldn't do much because psychologically she was not mentally ready for the world champs. But after that, we saw what she was able to achieve before the end of the athletic season last year, and starting off this year, she has shattered the African record for the 60 meters distance, a record that stood for over 20 years or 25 years plus. And I think she has a niche for herself already. We're talking about an athlete that broke the world record, twice, inside 24 hours, though the other record was wind assisted. We don't want to bother ourselves, with that, with the decision there. But most importantly, for Amusan, she has kept her head low. She has stayed focused, and I think she has, the ambience around her, is very much intact. So it is not a surprise for me to see her put in the type of performance that we have witnessed, so far this year. The reason why most athletic meets the 100 meters hurdles will be thick this season, we generate, engagement, on the social media space. We generate engagement amongst, athletic fans all over the world. Is what Toby is bringing, to the table. Each race she brings something fresh, and that is what, is exciting about her. And each time she wins, the gesticulation on her face, with her hands and everything that she does, tells you that a vexed Nigerian girl is not ready to stop, anytime soon. And I see Amusan going the distance again this year to shatter one more record. It can be the African record that has been shattered already. To shatter our own African record, to break the Commonwealth record, to break the Olympic Games record, to also break the World Athletics Championship record. Amusan, out of these 4 major races in the year, well, don't forget that there's also the Diamond League meet. Yep. There are lots of records for Amusan to break this season.
Let's see how it goes for her. But talking about her performance as well, and likes of this a little bit of worry, because Musa, of course, when you talk about hurdles events, she's the best, of course, that Nigeria can boast of at this point in time. Even
not just Nigeria can boast of. She's the best Africa has at the moment, yep. And the best all over the world. Her feet in indoor sports this season has been heartwarming. So there is hardly any fault, in the way she has been running this year. When you see the way an athlete, get off the block, attack the first hurdle and attack the 6th hurdle, it tells you, how far this particular athlete will go. Because for me, the most important hurdle for an athlete is the first hurdle that he or she attacks. How he or she attacks the first hurdle is very important. It will tell how far the athlete will go in the course of that particular race or event. Attacks the 6th and 7th hurdle, as well, most especially in the 100 meters hurdle for women and 110 meters hurdle for men. So for me, Amusan has done excellently well so far this season. I just pray that in the season ahead, she'll be able to select some of the races to participate in, so that she doesn't burn herself out before at the major meets, where we expect that the global community will watch out for what Toby Amusan will do. It's like it's like when Usain Bolt was running. He didn't get to the top, in a day. It took him days, weeks, months, and years to get to the summit of his career, and he stayed there for a particular period of time. Every Diamond League, every World Athletics Championship, the Olympic Games, and every other major athletic meet, it is Usain Bolt and the rest that people talked about. Usain Bolt and the rest, and not Usain Bolt, Asfa Powell, Justin Gatlin, and all of that. Amusan appears to be at a peak right now. Consistency is what we expect from her, moving forward. And in moving forward, however consistent that you are, there are certain races, that you don't have to participate in. I know money is involved, and appearance fee is involved in all of that stuff, but you should be able to consider the distance, that it take you to travel to and fro for a particular event, the number of days that the meet will last, and of course the next meet that you expected to participate in. And if the calendar is pretty close, then you have to look for a way to skip the ones that you can skip, so that you can be at the top of your game. And when the nation looks forward to you, the rest of Africa looks forward to you, and the rest of the world looks forward to you, not just to win, but to bring something extra to the track, you will not disappoint.
And I was about talking about, are there plans on ground, for me to get the next Toby and also the likes of Isebrum, of course, because at this point in time, yes, they are doing very well at the moment, but we can actually, talk about or turn our eyes to say, okay, we have another person probably following the footsteps of Toby Amusan or Isebrum, at the moment.
I think there is a plan, but how deliberate are our administrators in carrying out that plan is what has a very big, question mark, attached to it. I was at the last National Youth Games in Delta State. I saw, a group of athletes from Anambra State between the age bracket of yours truly 15, the oldest amongst them should be like 17. And they are between JSS 3 and SS 3. I can't remember the name of their school again. But their coach told me that he went to the local government area because the state governor is deliberate about developing sports from the grassroots. They call it Soludo Solutions or something. And these young girls could not communicate freely, comfortably, in English, because they went to, their coaches came to the rural areas to come scout for them. I saw what they were able to achieve. And all they asked for is, the government, to support them, to give them scholarship. That will motivate them to always make themselves available for training. And it will also encourage their parents to allow their children to go out to train, because their school fees, everything has been taken care of by government. So what are you doing? They go to school, they go to the classroom, and when it's time to go to the field to go train, they go to the field to go train. Nobody's denying them, anything. And other than supporting these talents between the age bracket of 12, 15, 16, those that you've spotted by way of scholarship, there should also be regular competition. There should be a program by the Ministry of Education, working in synergy with the Ministry of Sports. And if we have 5 competitions annually in Nigeria, across the country, these kids should be released, by their school to be part of this competition. And also under 14, under 15, and under 16 athletics meet on the continent of Africa, any part of Africa at all, be it in the west, in the east, in the south, and in the north, in Europe. Expose these kids, at that very young age to be part of this competition, so that mentally they'll start developing their mental alertness, to competing, at different levels. Because if you expose a child at the age of 16 to such atmosphere, this child on his or her own will begin to program himself or herself to podium performance by the age of 20, 21, 22. That at 20, I want to be at the Olympic Games. At 21, I want to be at the Commonwealth Games or the All-Africa Games. This is the target I've set for myself. If I don't achieve that target in my first major meet, that does not make me a failure. I have to go back and plan with my coach and, of course, and other team members on how we can, improve better in subsequent races. So for me, yes, there is a plan, but how deliberate are our administrators in implementing that plan is what I actually have doubt. Last year, Amusa was in Ogun State. She sponsored 2 days athletics meet where she brought almost 400 spikes, if not more than, to give to those athletes that would distinguish themselves, all in secondary schools. And the meet was supposed to be for athletes from Ogun State, that axis. But surprisingly, when I spoke with some of the officials that organized that meet last year, they said athletes from other parts of the country identified with the project. So a project that you initially wanted to organize for athletes in your own locality, in your state, is attracted athletes from other parts of the country, from the north, east, south, and west. So for me, these athletes are beginning to do something on their own. Government needs to support them. The corporate world needs to support them. You can't be an Olympic champion in 1 year. It is a minimum of a 4 years program that you intensively pursue, implement, that can see you actualizing that dream of producing an Olympic champion, a Commonwealth champion, an All-African Games champion within a 4 years bracket, and not 6 months to that major athletics meet before you start putting your athletes together, taking them to camp. No, that will not salvage the situation. And that, again, is why we have been second or third fiddle at the moment to other countries on the continent of Africa. Before now, All-Africa Games, for example, it has always been Egypt. They'll win all the medals in swimming, because there are lots of gold medals in swimming and other sports, while Nigeria's strength was in athletics back in the day, and maybe 1 or 2 combat sports like maybe weightlifting and wrestling, where we really dominant force in wrestling. I think no, until Daniel Igali came into the picture. So while some countries are concentrating on those events where they have comparative advantage over other parts of the continent, we were concentrating on athletics, the sprints, 400 meters male and female, 200 meters male and female, 4x100 meters male and female, 4x400 meters male and female, and maybe 800 meters where we'll maybe finish second and third. But in all of these events, we were always, number one on the continent of Africa. But today, are we number one? Your guess is as good as mine. We are not.
All right. We'll pray, of course, we'll get to that limelight once again. And we hope that the likes of Toby and Isebrume and the rest of our athletes will continue to make, of course, Nigerians proud and put smiles on our faces as well. But let's still talk about athletics. We hear the men's marathon world record holder, Kenya's Kevin Kipton, who's 34 years, has died in a road accident in his home country. According to reports, he was killed alongside his coach, Rwanda's Davis Hakim Simana, in a car on a road in western Kenya. On Sunday, Kipton made a breakthrough in 2023 as the rival to compatriot Eliud Kipchoge won for the greatest marathon bonus. And it was in Chicago last October that Kipton battered Kipchoge's achievement, clocking the 26.1 miles, that's 42 kilometers in 2 hours and 35 seconds. The 2 athletes have been named in Kenya's provisional marathon team for the Paris Olympics later this year. And paying tribute to Kipton, Kenya's Sports Minister Ababu Namwemba wrote on his Twitter handle, he says, devastatingly sickening, Kenya has lost a special gem, a loss for what? He said. Kenya's opposition leader and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga said the country had lost a true hero and was mourning a remarkable individual. Mr. Peter, a very, very sad incident, very, very sad one. Kipton, of course, is one man that has taken South Africa to that limelight in different competition, when it has to do with long distance racing. But the past, all that was on Sunday with his coach. Here, of course, it was a true, an accident. Very sad one, of course, for Kenya, as losing such, an athlete.
These are scenarios that we actually don't pray for. Everybody's looking forward to live for minimum 10, that is 70 years, as as we have it in the Bible, And if you live for additional 10, 20, you live up to 80, 90, it is bonus. And you must be thankful to God for giving you that privileged opportunity to live up to that age. For him, his life cut short, in an accident. I want to believe that if he fulfilled purpose and destiny, because there is something to show, for while you were here on earth. There are certain achievements, attributed to you. There are certain landmark impression that you've left behind that people will certainly make reference to. If this athlete were to be here, this is what we would have achieved. If he were to be in camp, this is how the atmosphere, would have been like. So it's a very sad news, and all we can only ask God is to give his immediate family the fortitude to bear this great loss, and for those who are coming behind him to make him their reference point. I want to achieve what he did not achieve, because if you won gold 10 years ago and I'm winning gold today, and you ran a time of 9.56, for example, and I'm doing 9.56 or 9.57. Yes, Kingsley did it 10 years ago. So there's nothing spectacular in what Abajo Sekwe has done. But if I do 10.50 10 years after, I will be celebrated, for breaking a 10 years old record. And from that moment, the spotlight will be on me, cameras will be on me. Everybody wants to have a word with me, wants to chat with me, to find out how I was able to achieve this, achieve that, what could have been the X factor behind my performance. So that is what it is. So long distance runners in Kenya and other parts of Africa should take a cue from how this guy lived his life, and we also tried much we can to be very, very careful when we are also on the wheels, driving, because nobody can tell what transpired before the accident, what the driver behind the steering was doing, what he was thinking, if it was over speeding, if it was something that could have been, avoided. Because the truth be told, most of the accidents, on the highway could have been avoided if we had been a little bit more careful.
Huge loss, of course, to Kenya, and of course, we pray that his soul will rest in the bosom of the Lord. But let's stay away from that and take a look at basketball. What basketball body has confirmed the 12 qualified teams for the upcoming Paris 2024 Olympic Games. The final qualifying tournament was concluded in Antwerp, Belgium last weekend. Belgium last weekend, and 12 teams confirmed their qualification. Nigerian D Tigers were among the teams that took part in the qualifying tournament and were able to confirm their qualifying tickets despite winning just one game. The African champion defeated the African counterpart Senegal in the opening game of the qualifying tournament before losing to the United States and Belgium in the final two matches. Nigeria hopes to get a better result this time when the competition commences later in the year. So I read they've actually gotten the qualification, and courtesy of that one, the D Tigers, of course, they've been placed 11th in the volume of power ranking as well by FIBA. I don't know what you make of the performance so far, especially in this qualifiers.
They qualified through the back door, I want to say. Like the Elephant of Cote d'Ivoire did qualify through the back door, but went all the way to win the AFCON title on Sunday. Can the Tigers, go all the way to win gold for Nigeria at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games? The most important thing is to qualify and then go back to the drawing board to plan. They won their first game, beating Senegal, and I had expected a stiff opposition against the girls from the USA. But what was the margin? About 100 points to about 46 or 46. So 54 points difference.
That's much.
That is much, and it tells you the gap between basketball in the United States of America and what basketball is here in Nigeria. So we'll go to the Olympic Games, maybe to make up the numbers, or to just try and see if they can go past the group stage and get to the knockout phase of the team. We have individual players that can actually.
But I think they've learned a lot, at least from the past two games they played against Belgium and the United States ladies. They have a new coach, Rona Wakama, and she's experienced. Probably she might have taken some positive back home. Maybe we might possibly see an impressive outing for the girls during the Olympics.
It is very possible because you cannot lose scandalously to your opponent and also lose to that same opponent, in another competition scandalously as well. The point, America might still win, but I strongly believe that the point difference might not be as much as it was during the qualifiers. That is, if both countries get the chance to meet at the Olympic Games. For Wakama, the most important thing for her right now is to begin to plan, begin to strategize, get the tip of how America played against them, how America played against Senegal, how America played against Belgium, and of course the tip from other groups too, looking at how these 12 qualifiers, that's 11 qualifiers plus Nigeria, number of matches that they played against different oppositions, and how they were able to break even to qualify. Most times our coaches across board don't do any of these. Like one time a football coach said, I don't need to study my opponent, I'm just going to the field of play. After 5 minutes I'll know what to do. You certainly cannot know what to do after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you did not study. Look at how they initiate the big man, the point man, and every other player in the team. Their movement, how often do they move to the left side of the court? How often do they move to the right side of the court? Do they initiate attack straight from the middle down to where they can slam and dunk, and all of that. So Wakama has a whole lot of work to do. This has shown that our feet, at the FIBA Africa Women Championship, I will not say it was a fluke because nobody gave Wakama and the girls the slightest of opportunity to go that far, but surprisingly she shot the mouth of everybody, and including those of our detractors who said, how can you give the female national team to a basketball coach who wasn't a top class basketballer in a time, but she has been able to break even where even our male counterparts fail to succeed. So this championship is a wake-up call for basketball in Nigeria, a wake-up call for the coach. It needs to start planning, and if it means bringing some other legs, to the team, I think there is time for her to do all of that, because if it is to take this same crop of players to the Olympic Games, it's going to be difficult for the Tigers to go past the group stage. So more players are needed in strategic positions in the team.
All right, let's say it is. We hope Rena Wakama will be able to, of course, put straight. This time around, she was able to at least to get some couple of home-based players to add to foreign base to execute this one. But good of the thing that they've qualified, and we hope that courtesy of this qualification, they will go back home and, of course, do the needful at the end of the day. But at this point, we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back from this break. We'll bring you all the scenario involving the camp for the Super Eagles. No longer in camp, they are back, of course, in Nigeria. So we'll be taking a look at, the way forward for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Joseph Pesero, should he, of course, remain the head coach for the team because his contract with the NFF has elapsed? Should the NFF renew his contract? That will be the big question, of course, when we return after the short break. Please stay with us.
the counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
War and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human
On the point of order.
Honorable
On the point of
They are not picking our cause. They made up their mind.
so no agreement with the EU, but
the counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
You're welcome back as the Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, it's time for me to bring you the latest from the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The Super Eagles of Nigeria already they returned early hours of today, and of course, we saw the sports minister, he was actually in the same flight with the players, and he spoke very well. He spoke very well, of course, when it came that. They will continue with this particular level at which, of course, or this pace they've set. And from what we've seen so far, I don't know what you make of it. Second position at the end of the AFCON. What's the way forward for the Super Eagles?
Second position in 1984, second in 88, second in 90, second in 2000, and second in 2024. That is, we've made it to the final like 8 times. We've won it 3 times. We've lost it 5 times. We've made it to the semi-finals a couple of times. In fact, we have made more appearances to the last 4 than any other country in Africa, which is progress for me. For this team, we didn't expect them to go the distance. After the first game against Equatorial Guinea ended 1-1. Yes, we were so tactically efficient against Cote d'Ivoire in our second match in the group stage. We played against Guinea-Bissau in the 3rd match. Yes, a bit lackluster, but the result was what at that point was important for the team. Just get a draw or at most a win. And for the coach, he kept saying that I score 1, a victory to the next level is the most important thing, and not scoring 3, 4, 5 goals, and you don't get to qualify, at the end of the day. They played against Angola, against Cameroon in the 2nd round, won convincingly, and we're like feeling so excited that yes, we now have a team that can compete for the AFCON title. Met Angola in the quarterfinals, and though not a very easy game, but they were able to triumph over the Angolans. And for the Amapiano derby against South Africa, so much noise. South Africans of late, they'll be talking tough because they came to Uyo to beat the Super Eagles of Nigeria about 3-4 years ago. So now they feel we are on the same par, on the same page with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. On paper, Nigeria is still the #1 country. If you look at the number of times they have made it to the last 4 of the African Cup of Nations finals, and we were able to beat South Africa in the semi-finals via a penalty shootout, and Stanley Nwabali did so very well. And from that stage, everybody started talking about Stanley. People from Ebonyi will tell you Stanley Nwabali is from Ebonyi. The guys from Agbo in Delta State, some of them lay claim to Stanley Nwabali, and some said, oh, Stanley Nwabali is somewhere from the eastern part of the country. And without knowing that he is from River State, from Okuzi community in Egbema clan here in River State. So for me, the lads did pretty well, except for the lapses, in the finals. A very big a tactical flaw on the part of the coach to play a defensive for 90 minutes against the host nation in the finals. The ambience, in that stadium can be compared to when you play against Liverpool in the final of a competition at Anfield. The noise did not stop before the match. The noise, did not start before the match. It started, the noise didn't start right, from the blast of the referee's whistle. The noise, the chant for the Elephant of Cote d'Ivoire started minutes before the blast of the referee's whistle. When the announcer, usually takes the countdown for the kickoff, we could barely hear 5, 4, 3, 1, 0, and the referee's whistle, because the chant from the fans was so massive, and the Super Eagles were able to hold their own. Kudos to them, to the players, but I think the loss in the finals was all due to, a tactical flaw on the part of the coach. So many persons have blamed Alex Iwobi, but I don't think all blame should go to Alex Iwobi. He was played out of position. Alex Iwobi is one player that does not really enjoy marking responsibilities, but from match day 1 to match day 7 that they played in the finals, it's been a marking responsibilities. This player will excel well in the field of play if you allow him to play behind the guys up front, and allow the marking responsibility to be done by 2 other guys behind him. It is going to help him to triumph, to shine in the middle of the pack. He's about the only creative midfielder that we have in the Super Eagles setup today. And rather than allow him to be as creative as he can, he was given more marking responsibilities, which makes him play deeper into our own half than the opponent's half. So you see this wide gap between him and the guys up front. The gap between Iwobi and Osimhen, Samuel Chukwueze that started, I didn't know why he started the game on Sunday, and Ademola Lookman. At some point, you can measure it. It is up to 40 meters. Sometimes it is 45, 50, and you can count the number of times that the opening between Alex Iwobi and these other guys, when we are on the attack, it's like 10 meters. So for me, it was a tactical a challenge, a tactical problem in the final match. Otherwise, our guys played to instruction. If they did not play to instruction, we wouldn't have seen them, play defensively from the first second of the referee's whistle to the final second of the referee's whistle.
All right, so I think good of a thing that at least they came back with something, and not that they went there and didn't actually achieve much, because prior to the competition, nobody gave the Super Eagles, of course, that chance of going very far in the competition. But Alex Iwobi, of course, just like you mentioned, he's been heavily criticized, by Nigeria. But the Honorable Minister for Sport Development, Senator John Wanino, of course, I spoke to him after they returned from Abidjan yesterday. Let's take a look at, let's take a listen to what the minister, of course, told Alex Iwobi.
That it's a huge improvement from previous outcomes, isn't it? Of course. I'm not too sure you were in the 2013 team, you were not.
You know, since you know you're part of the team, this is about the best result you posted. You know, so at least that goes for something, isn't it? Of course, yeah. Okay. I'm aware of something that's going on in social media.
For me, I've taken myself off social media, so I'm not aware of all this.
Okay, you're not aware of what's going on. When did you take yourself out? Recently?
After yesterday's game.
Okay, after yesterday's game.
Yeah.
Okay. Things came to an end, I understand.
Yeah.
So, as a ministry, I mean, it's not the first time, but we're going to make another statement, you know, against, you know, the kind of bullying that not just you, but our sportsmen and women are exposed to because of outcomes of competitions. I mean, we're very concerned about how our sportsmen and women are treated. We witnessed that we couldn't come from a Cameroon match, and I wrote a personal letter which I addressed to Ahmed Musa and all of you. I've tried to advise about the project. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it. I mean, I've said so. So for me, it's just so that you know, I'm not unconcerned with what's going on. I mean, it's you don't deserve that. I mean, you've been here for close to 40-something days for love of country. I mean, you could have as well said you're in coming. And I've watched your matches. I mean, it's you know, so you do your best for your country and for you. So there's nothing that anybody is saying to make you feel otherwise, right? You know, I mean, I'm very proud of you. I believe that the rest of the country is. You know, those who are not are just in the minority, far minority. I do not speak for me, do not speak for our country, do not speak for the leadership of our country. And that's why, you know, at some point tomorrow, Mr. President himself is going to receive all of you. You know, and say thank you for the great work that you've done. Right?
Yeah.
So just be strong.
Yeah.
I just know that, I mean, I mean, you're going back home with a silver medal, which the country last won in the year 2000. I mean, so you've put in your best, right?
Yeah.
I'm very
Thank you.
Very proud of you.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Very proud of you.
Let me share.
All right, that was the Sports Minister John Manino, of course, you know, giving some word, of course, to Alex Iwobi after receiving so much, you know, criticism from Nigerians due to his, you know, poor performance to say the African Cup of Nation. Now, let's see, of course, if, of course, he needs to take that one home and then trying to put himself together and look forward to perform better whenever he comes to represent the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But Peter, you know, at time is actually we don't have much time as well. Let's take a look at the UEFA Champions League as Manchester City, of course, will be in action tonight against the FC Copenhagen.
Well, European football, we take all of the attentions right now. And one interesting thing about the just concluded AFCON, for the very first time in a long while, the engagement, you know, on the social media space was very massive, more massive, 10 times more massive than what we had last time. And this goes to show that, you know, the rest of the world is beginning to appreciate what the rest of Africa brings to the table. And I just hope that CAF will continue to have the Nations Cup finals, you know, in January, February, and not June. European, the UEFA Champions League, yes, Manchester City, they are favorite to win the UEFA Champions League back-to-back. They have been consistent, though not as they were last season, but yet all fingers is pointing towards them to have an easy ride over FC Copenhagen and also go the distance this time again.
RB Leipzig will also be in action tonight against Real Madrid, and some persons are saying, of course, Real Madrid is still looking formidable to challenge for the title as well.
Oh yes, they are. Fans all over Nigeria are feeling excited now that the UEFA Champions League is back. Like someone said, the heat where they face us for this country, food don't go up everywhere. The joy will forget on Sunday. The coach can't remove the joy. But now, UEFA Champions League night, you know, it's like when the Super Eagles of Nigeria is playing, because every night you have fans of Real Madrid staying glued to their TV set, fans of Man U, fans of Man City, fans of Barcelona, fans of Dortmund, and all of them are staying glued to their TV set Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to watch their favorite team in action. You know, there is something that sports, you know, brings to the system. When you're winning, everything about you, your adrenaline doesn't shut up. It remains at a particular level, normal level. It is when things begin to go, you know, out of a schedule, you know, out of plan, that, you know, everything in your system begins to shoot up, just as the economy in the country today, you know, is making, you know, our systems to shoot up.
All right, sir, we don't have enough time, but we'll be back by 6 p.m. on Sport Extraordinary to preview the UEFA Champions League matches as well. Tonight. Special thanks to Baje, of course, for bringing justice on the show this morning.
My pleasure. The work for the next World Cup finals and AFCON begins from now.
All right, don't forget, please, in detail was the past with the progress. You can as well go down to our different social media handles. The conversation continues down there. My name is Kinsley Mano. Thanks for watching.